Hello, this is Greg Elwell with B2B Inbound, and this is a tutorial on how to leave a rating and review of a podcast in iTunes. So, a couple things as we get started. One is you can't currently leave a rating or a review via the podcast app on your iPhone or your iPad or Apple device. Hopefully, in the future, they will include that functionality, that ability for listeners, as they're listening to a podcast on their iPhone or something like that, to just go right in there and leave a rating and review. To my knowledge, at this current time, and this is May 2013, you cannot do that. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to iTunes, your iTunes account on your computer, in order to leave a rating and review. And there's a couple ways to do that. Number one is you can just open up iTunes on your computer. If you watched the previous tutorial about how to find, search for podcasts, uh, get into them, get into the show, and you'll see a button that says, or a link that says ratings and reviews. And I'm going to show you that in a minute. That's one way to do it. Another way is you might be directed to go to a web page where a podcaster has their shows listed and their actual show with show notes, and there'll be a player there, and I'm going to show you that in a minute, with links and maybe a button to subscribe in iTunes. So here's what I've got on my website. We're looking at my website right now, B2B Inbound, and if I just scroll down a bit, you're going to see right on my home page, right over here, you'll see the subscribe in iTunes button. So if you click that, let's go ahead and do that. What that's going to do is that's going to take you to a page which is not in iTunes, but it's an Apple page um, on the iTunes subdomain or subdirectory, and it's still loading here. That is what is called the preview page. So here it is. This is the preview page. It looks very familiar with what you have maybe already seen if you watched that previous that video. But this is not in iTunes right now. This is actually on the Apple website. So you see, what you need to do from here is you would need to click on the View in iTunes link right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm not going to click that right now because I'm going to show you another location where typically you will be able to find a subscribe in iTunes link from a show notes page. So hang on. Alright, so here is the show notes page of a podcast that I did with Andy Traub. It was on self-publishing a Kindle ebook. And so in this orange box here, you can see this is where you could actually go and you could click that and listen to the podcast right here. The other options is you could click this and play it in a new window, or you could right click and you could actually download the MP3 of it if you wanted to do it that way. Also, here's the subscribe in iTunes link right here. So if you click that, again, you're going to be taken to the iTunes preview page, as you can see right here, iTunes preview. And so right here now, again, here's that blue button, View in iTunes. And so in order to leave a rating and review, you have to go this next step and click View in iTunes. And you're going to be asked to choose an application. At least I'm not sure how this works in the Mac world, but in the PC world, you're going to need to choose an application. And I'm going to choose iTunes, and I'm going to click OK. So what that's going to do, that's going to open up my iTunes application that I have running on my computer and the iTunes store. And it's just loading right now, so we're just going to give it a minute, and here it is. Okay, so now we've just transitioned from the iTunes preview page, and we've actually gone into the iTunes store itself. The podcast section, you can see podcast is highlighted up here, and here's the show. This is the B2B Inbound Expert Interviews podcast. And over here is where you can see, if you haven't already subscribed to it, you can subscribe right here. Although you can do that if you're in your iPhone or your iPad and you search for podcast, you'll find a subscribe button there as well, and so you could always do that there. But here's where we want to go is the ratings and reviews. Let me just highlight that. Okay, right there. And click on ratings and reviews. And what you'll get then is the opportunity to click to rate the podcast. And you also will be able to write a review by clicking that button. If you click the button write a review, you will be able to also rate it, give it a rating along with your written review. All right, and so again, this is really important for podcasters to have, audience members, those that are listening, to go in here and give ratings and give reviews, because again, it helps visibility. So there's a number of things that helps a podcaster's visibility in iTunes. One is the number of downloads in a given period of time, recent subscriptions, ratings, and reviews. And so help a podcaster out like me and go in and give a rating and review. As you can see, I have one so far, and I haven't done a very good job of promoting this. And so that's one of the purposes of this tutorial, is to help others who may not be familiar with how to do this actually learn how to go ahead and do this. Now, when you give a rating, just don't give 5 stars, a 5-star review. In fact, I'm going to have a link in the show notes to, or in the blog article for this, to an article by Andy Traub, how he actually said 4-star reviews are actually more valuable and more meaningful, more helpful to both the podcaster and the podcast listener, because they're more real, they're more honest. So you don't want to just pander or give platitudes just to try to help someone to rise up in the ratings. Or it's really probably more helpful to give somebody a balanced, honest review. Talk a little bit about what you liked, and share some thoughts about how maybe the show could be improved. So that's completely fine and legitimate and welcomed by the podcaster. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, this tutorial on how to leave a rating and review of a podcast in iTunes. And now just let's go do it. All right. Thank you very much.